Well, hey everybody, Bruce here at Clayhorse Music Productions in Boise, and I think today I have a special treat for you. We're going to take this little beauty for a road test. This is a custom guitar that I built with my partner Mike Bassett, that I've teamed up with from the local guitar center. He's a very experienced guitar technician, and I allowed him to do all of the final assembly and setup for the guitar. And I did the body and selected all the materials and got the neck and everything else, and got all the pieces together, and took about a month to work on this body here. And then I turned it all over to Mike and he put it together. So let's give it a little bit of a road test today and see what this thing sounds like. This body came from a company up in Canada called Spalted. And it is a Brazilian rosewood top, 1/4 inch nice thick top on top of a mahogany body. It's really a gorgeous design, very unique. Each one of these guitars is one of a kind. The reason I was very attracted to this body is because of the pattern in the wood. It almost looks like a magnetic flux pattern around this pickup right here. I thought that was really interesting. Fascinating looking. So this neck comes from Warmoth, W-A-R-M-O-T-H necks. They're licensed through Fender, and this is the modern vintage design neck here. Standard slim profile. This is a rosewood fingerboard over a maple neck body. I'm using the Grover self-locking tuners here, so it's string locking tuners. These things, this whole system really does keep the guitar in tune quite nicely. I picked it up after having tuned it about a day and a half ago, and it was still in tune. This is a Goto bridge, which is very a precision bridge here, which is really nice. These pickups are from Brian Porter here in here in Boise. These are Brian Porter pickups, and they really sound great, as you'll hear. This particular set is the vintage Tele set. I have opted not to use the chrome plate here. I never really did like that look of that chrome plate on the Telecasters. I always thought that it made them look a little bit, I don't know, cheap or something. So I've gone for another option or accessory from the same outfit that I bought the body from, which was Spalted. And the pickup ring and the switch plate are wood. So as you can see, it's really a beautiful thing. A little bit about the finish on this guitar. This wood is such high quality and so hard that once I sealed it, I was able to actually buff it using micro mesh down to the point where I could actually almost see my reflection in it without putting any lacquer or oil or anything on here. I did seal it with oil, and I let that dry, and then I started buffing it. And then once it was completely smooth, and this is just as smooth as glass, then I did a final coat of basically finishing wax, so this is basically finished like a hardwood floor here. So it will never need any kind of fancy sprays or anything like that. All you need is a soft cloth to wipe it off. And I wanted to preserve the natural look of the wood and not get it too glossy. So it's kind of a satin finish, just a natural finish on the wood here. Now the sides and the back are finished like a gun stock. This is an oil varnish. And they're probably, typically what I'll do is put on anywhere a minimum of 12 coats, more typically 18 to 20 coats. So this has probably got about, I'd have to look at my records, but I think it's probably got 15 to 18 coats of oil varnish on here. So this is finished just like a rifle stock. So, I mean, that's tough. You know, rifle stock has to endure a lot out in the field, and all the scratching and going through trees and bushes and everything else. And that's the way that this body is finished on the back. One of the ideas that I wanted to do was to finish the back and the sides with more of a thick, hard rifle stock finish, and leave the front of the guitar more open. And what I was trying to do was to get the sound to, this would act like a shell, and basically what it would do is bring the sound out to the face of the guitar. Whether it does that, I don't know. All I know is that it sounds really, really great. So then the last little detail that's going on here, this does have a serial number. This is serial number 002, and this is the first guitar to roll off the line, and the reason that is that serial number 001 I had some problems with the spalted maple, and it took me probably an extra 2 weeks to finish that one. So this one got ahead of number 1, so this is actually the first one off the line, and it's got a custom plate on the back here. This guitar belongs to Mr. Rick Ellis here in Boise, who's a good friend of mine. And so I just wanted to do this video where I could document the guitar and what it sounded like and what it looks like, and then probably later this week, or maybe even later today, this is going to go to Rick, and this is going to go into his collection. So there it is. This is the first one. It's serial number 002, but it's the first one off the assembly line of Boatner custom guitars. Okay, let's get started out with a clean tone. I'm going to have my volume turned all the way up, and I'm going to have my tone knob turned all the way clockwise to the most treble position. I'm just going to leave those alone. It's not too atypical that we just leave them there. We might bring the volume down a little bit so that when we're playing we have a little bit of headroom if we need it, but a lot of times we just leave the tone knob alone. So I'm going to leave it set there all the way clockwise. I'm going to start out now with the neck pickup, and then I'll do both pickups, and then I'll do the bridge pickup just in a clean setting on my amplifier. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to synchronize the camera video with the audio that I'm recording right now. I have a microphone on the amp so that you will get a better feel for the true sound of the guitar. So this is going to synchronize the two. I get that to go together on the two clips, and now I'm synchronized. Okay, so here is the neck pickup. Now we're going to go to the middle position, which is both of the pickups. Now we're going to go to the bridge pickup. Now if you will notice, between the three pickup positions, there is no real noticeable change in the volume, and that is fantastic. All you do is you get a change in the tone and not a change in the volume. Now some of my other guitars, like that Ibanez over there, has a 5-position switch, and as you go between those positions you get 5 different volume levels. Besides getting different tone, it's coil tapping between the humbuckers and the single coil. Okay, here's what I've learned. If I've learned anything in my longer than I'd like to mention career in playing guitars, if you want a humbucker sound, get a humbucker. If you want a single coil sound, get a single coil. Don't try to get a single coil sound out of a humbucker. It just doesn't work. You get this really weak, lame sound, and it just doesn't work. So what I'm doing now is I've got my my Gibson 339, which has humbuckers in it. Gives me a nice fat blues sound or jazzy sound, or you know, if I want some distortion overdrive, it's great. It's got great sustain. That's fantastic. But that guitar will never do a Dwight Yoakam, you know, Tele sound. If you want a beautiful, just a real nice, clean sound like that, you're not going to get that from any humbucker, tapped or otherwise. So if there's any one thing that you might take away from this video after my long and illustrious career playing guitars, don't buy the hype that coil tapping really does what you need it to do, because it really doesn't. If you want this sound, you have got to get this kind of guitar, okay? All right, so now let's move on to, I tell you what, before we leave the nice, pretty clean sounds, let me run this through an effect. I'm going to run it through a TC Electronic flashback delay, and you see how such a beautiful shimmering sound you can get out of this. So let's do that now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the guitar through a volume pedal so that I can swell the sound in kind of like an organ or a synthesizer. And then I'm going to run it through my TC Electronic flashback delay set on the modulation setting. I will hold that up to the camera after we're finished so that you can see what the settings are that I'm using to make this sound. First, let me synchronize my digital recorder with the camera. Okay, that'll give me a nice sharp signal that I can synchronize to. And let's take a listen to this. So just some simple chords, just D, A, C, G, back to A. You can do almost anything with this, so you can create some really nice ambient sounds with the clean setting. I'm using the middle pickup position, so I'm using both pickups. The pickups aren't quite as critical when you do this kind of thing, but I just wanted to give you a feel for some of the things you can do other than just maybe the straightforward, more clean country sounds or something. You can use this a lot for these kinds of pickups, the single coil pickups, for a lot of really nice clean sounds. Like for instance, Jeff Lynne in Electric Light Orchestra played a Telecaster, and he could get a lot of really nice kind of ambient kinds of sounds out of it, which are pretty neat. Okay, so let me show you the settings that I'm using on this delay before we move on. Okay, let's experiment a little bit with more of an overdriven sound or distorted sound. I don't have as much distortion set in my amplifier as I use sometimes, because there's no use having so much distortion that you really can't get a sense of the character of the guitar. So I've backed it off just a little bit. But nevertheless, we will try the 3 different pickup positions and try the same licks and the same chords through those 3 positions to get an idea of how the overdrive aspect of the pickups work. This thing can really bite if you want. You can really get it to bite. So let's start out by synchronizing here with the digital recorder. Okay, that'll give me a nice clean signal to synchronize to, and let's start out on the neck position with some Gary Clark Jr. Licks. Now let's try the same lick in the middle position. You really hear quite a difference. Now let's try the bridge position, and you really get some bite in the bridge position. Now let's try a kind of a fat set of chords. This is another Gary Clark song. This is called Bright Lights. Let's start off in the neck position, and this is a song that really depends a lot on a lot of fill from the guitar. So let's see what that sounds like. That's the neck. Let's try the middle for the same chords. Now let's try the bridge position. So a very distinctive sound in each position. As a matter of fact, I was toying with the idea of having the 4-position switch put in my next guitar, and I've decided not to do that. I really like this idea that you have just 3 very distinct sounds, because what happens when you put the 4th position switch in and you run the 2 coils, instead of having them run in parallel and they run in series, you get more of an overdrive. And what it does is it changes your volume. And one of the things I really like about this is that you can change your switch positions without changing your volume. If you want to change your volume, you do it some other way. Either you play on about a 7 position and turn it up, or you have a booster pedal or something else. But I like the idea that you don't have too many variables changing at one time. Okay, so let's see here. Let's try some single note stuff. We got some chords there. Let's try this in the neck position. Okay, let's try it in the middle. Okay, let's try it in bridge position. So you get a feel for that. Now let's just do one more that really has some really massive chords in it. I'm going to do Blondie's One Way or the Other. I'm going to start off sort of in the chorus part of it and then go back into the main riff. So I'll start off with just kind of a little bit of a bridge and then go back into the main chords for each one of the pickup settings. So we're going to start off in the neck position. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that's the neck position. Let's try the middle position. Let's go for the bridge. That's really going to bite on these chords. to stop playing. It's kind of fun. Okay, so anyway, I think that will give you a good feel of kind of what this guitar can do. Again, these are the Brian Porter pickups from here in Boise. He's getting to have a pretty good reputation for building these electronics. So this is Boatner Custom Guitars #1, done with my partnership with Mr. Mike Bassett down at Guitar Center here in Boise. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that Rick enjoys the guitar. So anyway, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.